I came to Granada with dust on my coat, a letter unopened, a name in my throat. The evening was falling on white painted walls, while shadows grew longer beneath the old halls. I climbed through the alleys where strangers disappear, with bells in the distance and winter drawing near. Then under a lantern that trembled in the rain, I saw you standing quietly as if you knew my name. You did not ask where I had been, you only smiled and let me in. Beneath the lanterns of Albaicín, you turned the silence into gold. A stranger's hand, a hidden doorway, a story neither of us told. Beneath the lanterns of Albaicín, the night moved slowly through the stone. You gave my wandering heart a language, then left before the morning came. You poured dark coffee in a painted cup. The steam rose between us, then vanished above. You spoke about Cordoba, fire and spring. I spoke of Shiraz and the songs people sing. You showed me a window overlooking the town, where crimson roofs faded as the moon settled down. A guitar was waiting beside an empty chair. You lifted it gently and filled the room with air. One Spanish chord, one Persian sigh, two distant roads under one sky. Beneath the lanterns of Albaicín, you turned the silence into gold. A stranger's hand, a hidden doorway, a story neither of us told. Beneath the lanterns of Albaicín, the night moved slowly through the stone. You gave my wandering heart a language, and left before the morning came. Do not ask the road to keep you, do not ask the moon to stay. Every light above Granada must disappear into the day. I have crossed 1,000 borders, I have slept beneath strange skies, but no city ever held me like the fire inside your eyes. Play until the stars grow quiet, play until the shadows end. Some hearts meet for only one night and remember without end. years have passed beyond Granada. Still, when evening fills the sky, I hear your fingers on the strings and see that lantern burning bright somewhere above the sleeping city, where our two melodies began. The setar waits beside the window, and the guitar answers again. The theater was nearly empty. Dust was turning in the light. Rows of faded crimson velvet waited silently for night. You were standing on the old stage with one flower in your hand, like the final scene of something no one else could understand. I had entered through a doorway left unlocked beside the street. You looked up as though the evening had arranged for us to meet. You said the curtains fall at sunrise. I said then we still have time. You placed a flower on the piano and stepped slowly into mine. Give me the last dance before dawn, before the shadows leave the walls. Let your Spanish fire surround me while my Persian sorrow falls. Give me the last dance before dawn. No tomorrow, no reply, only one unfinished rhythm under Granada's fading sky. Gently through the silence, like a flame that feared the air. Every turn revealed a story, every pause became a prayer. I spoke of winter nights in Tehran, you spoke of summers in Shiraz. But the cities lost their meaning when your hand was on my chest. Above us hung forgotten costumes, golden masks and painted crowns, while the moon crossed through the windows and the night kept counting down. You said do not call this forever. I said I would never dare. Then the guitar found the rhythm and your footsteps filled the air. Give me the last dance before dawn, before the shadows leave the walls. Let your Spanish fire surround me while my Persian sorrow falls. Give me the last dance before dawn. No tomorrow, no reply, only one unfinished rhythm under Granada's fading sky. I, the morning, will not pity those who ask the night to stay. Every song must lose its echo, every flame must meet the day. Azizam, I have known departures, I have watched the seasons turn.
but no goodbye has ever carried such a beautiful return.
So let the old theater remember how two strangers crossed the floor, how one night became a lifetime just before they closed the door. Your Spanish fire surround me, let my Persian heartbeat speak. Give me the last dance before dawn, while the stars are still alive. One last turn beneath the curtains, one last reason not to hide. When the daylight crossed the theater, you were gone without a sound. Only one red flower remained there on the stage where we had turned around. Now whenever music finds me in a city far from Spain, I can hear your footsteps moving through that empty hall again. Above the towers, painting fire across the stone. I followed music through the alleys to a courtyard all alone. You were waiting near the fountain with a guitar against your heart. I did not know the words you whispered, but I understood the way played. One string trembled, one shadow moved. The night was silent, but the silence knew. That was where the red moon found us, between the roses and the rain. Your Spanish fire met my sorrow and turned the distance into flame. That was where the
You played of summers in Sevilla, I played of winters in Shiraz. Your fingers moved like restless horses, mine replied with ancient scars. The lantern shook above the tables, the city bells began to ring. Every note became a doorway, every pause revealed a hidden thing.
You leaned closer, the rhythm changed. Two different stories became the same. That was where the red moon found us, between the roses and the rain. Your Spanish fire met my sorrow and turned the distance into flame. That was where the red moon found us, Just don't let the pale light know. Keep your hands upon the strings and play the road we cannot go.
Azizam, the night is turning and every star is growing cold.
But for one breath above Granada,
let the music make us whole.
with no language but goodbye.
Now when the red moon climbs the rooftops,
I hear your guitar from afar.
somewhere between Shiraz and Granada,
You are still playing
where we are.
I saw you standing by the old stone wall, where evening shadows touch the Alhambra halls. A crimson river was crossing the sky, and Granada burned in the light of your eyes. You wore the silence like a velvet shawl. I heard your footsteps before your call. One Persian melody drifted through the square, then your Spanish guitar found me there. You played one note, I played another. Two distant worlds turning toward each other. Under the crimson sunset over Granada, you pulled me closer, closer than words. Kamancheh cry in Spanish, strings answering like two lonely hearts finally heard. Under the crimson sunset over Granada, the whole city faded into gold. You gave me one night I would remember, and one goodbye I could never hold. We walked through gardens fragrant with rain. You spoke of Seville, I whispered your name. I told you stories of Tehran at night, of quiet rooftops and pale moonlight. You drew a circle in dust with your shoe and said every road leads somewhere. Corazón, don't turn away. Let the final light convince you to stay. Aziz, the night is still young. There are so many songs we have not sung, but the moon climbed high above the hill, and the streets below were growing still. Between Isfahan and Andalucía, we became a song without a home. Sunset over Granada, you pulled me closer, closer than words. Kamancheh crying, Spanish strings answering, like two lonely hearts finally heard. Under the crimson sunset over Granada, I watched the last light leave the stone. You gave me one night I would remember, and left me with the melody alone. Now every sunset carries your shadow. Every guitar brings back that night. Somewhere between Persia and Granada, our unfinished song still follows the light. Summer was leaning over Granada. Lanterns were glowing from balcony lines. Music was flowing out of the windows, turning the streets into rivers of light. You wore a flower beside your shoulder. Silver was shining around your hands. I played a melody born in Shiraz. You answered softly with steps in the sand. You moved once, the whole square followed. I played twice and you came closer. No introduction, no need for names. The night between us was already away. We were dancing on Granada lights, your Spanish rhythm, my Persian heart. Round and round through the warm midnight, two distant worlds with no space apart. We were dancing under Granada lights, Kamancheh flying over guitar strings. You turned the silence into fire and made the ancient cities sing. Follow the sound, let your feet carry you around. Hey, hey, stay in the light. Granada belongs to us tonight. We crossed the square beside the fountain where painted shadows moved on the walls. You sang a verse about Andalucía. I answered back with an old Persian song. The crowd made room when you started turning your red skirt open like fire in bloom. I struck the rhythm against the tumbak while moonlight entered the crowded room. One step forward, one step away. You kept me guessing but asked me to stay. The bells were ringing above the town. You raised your hands and the stars came down. We were dancing under Granada lights. Your Spanish rhythm, my Persian heart. Round and round through the warm midnight. Two distant worlds with no space apart. We were dancing under Granada lights. Kamancheh flying over guitar strings. You turned the silence into fire and made the ancient city sing. Do not speak about the morning. Do not count the hours gone. Let the guitar keep on calling. Let the Persian drum roll on.
I have walked through quiet cities, I have slept beneath cold skies, but I never knew a rhythm like the one inside your eyes.
From the gardens of old Shiraz to the hills of southern Spain, every road became a circle when you pulled me close again. Morning was touching the Alhambra. The crowd disappeared into the day. You left your flower beside my centaur, then smiled and slowly walked away. Now whenever the rhythm finds me and the evening turns to gold, I see you dancing through Granada like a story that never grows old. I found you in a narrow shop where faded maps were tied with thread. Dust was sleeping on the oceans, golden lines crossed overhead. You traced Granada with your finger. I placed my hand beside Shiraz, two names resting on the paper like two stars that never touched. You said every road remembers, even when the travelers don't. I said some hearts cross the distance, though their footsteps never will. Draw a line from Shiraz to Granada, let it travel through the night, past the mountains, past the borders, past the reach of morning light. Draw a line from Shiraz to Granada,
He spoke of evenings in the Albaicín, white walls glowing after rain. I spoke of gardens full of roses and the scent along Vakil Lane. You drew a ship across the ocean, though no ocean lay between. Then you laughed and said that longing makes its own geography. Outside, bells began to tremble. Inside, time forgot to move. Every country disappeared when I stood that close to you. Draw a line from Shiraz to Granada. Let it travel through the night, past the mountains, past the borders, past the reach of morning light. Draw a line from Shiraz to Granada, where your fire meets my rain. Even if we lose each other, let the map remember our names. Do not promise me forever, do not tell me you will stay. Fold this moment like a letter, keep it somewhere safe away.
I will carry every silence, every word you never said, like a road beneath my footsteps, like a song inside my head.
If tomorrow takes us elsewhere,
If the years erase the view,
there will always be one pathway, drawn from me and drawn to you. Though the ink may fade with rain, even if we lose each other, let the map remember our names.
when I returned, the shop was empty. Only sunlight crossed the floor.
The maps were gone, the walls were silent, dust had covered every drawer. But beneath the cracked glass window, one small page remained behind. Shiraz circled close to Granada, joined by one unfinished line. Lanterns were swinging above the avenue, red dresses turning, the midnight breaking through. I heard the rhythm running over ancient stone. Then you appeared where the wild roses had grown. Gold in your earrings, fire in your step. You smile like someone I had already met. You pulled me closer before I knew your name. The whole street opened and nothing stayed the same. One hand in the air, one beat in the ground. You turned toward me and the night spun around. There was fire in the Granada streets, across the plaza where the fountain shone. Dancers made circles while the night rolled on. You sang a line that I could not translate, but every word landed perfectly in place. I told you stories of Tehran after rain. You laughed and pulled me into the crowd again. From Shiraz gardens to Andalucía skies, two distant worlds were dancing in our eyes. One step to the left, one turn to the right. The moon above us was burning white. There was fire in the Granada streets, Persian drums and Spanish heat. Your body moved, my heartbeat followed. Every corner came alive. There was fire in the Granada streets, Kamancheh crying over the beats. No tomorrow, no surrender, only music, you and I don't slow down. Let the rhythm shake the town. Hey, stay with me, move until the morning sea. I don't need a promise, I don't need a plan. Just keep your fingers resting in my hand. Let the guitar answer, let the tone back speak. Let the whole of Granada move beneath our feet. There was fire in the Granada streets, Persian drums and Spanish heat. Your body moved, my heartbeat followed. Every window came alive. There was fire in the Granada streets, Kamancheh flying over the beat. No tomorrow, no surrender, only music, you and I. There was fire in the Granada streets, red moon dancing at our feet. When the sunrise found the city, we were still moving with the night. The lanterns faded, the crowd moved on. The final guitar welcomed the dawn. You kissed my cheek and disappeared from view, but every rhythm still returns me to you. At the edge of Sacramento, where the white caves meet the hill, I found a faded blue door, standing half open and still. Dust was sleeping on the windows, vines had covered every stone. Yet from somewhere in the darkness came a song I used to know. Inside stood an old gramophone and a table set for two. Beside a glass of dried red roses lay a photograph of you. were shaking. Behind the blue door of Sacromonte, your voice returned across the years. Spanish fire beneath the melody, Persian sorrow in my tears. Behind the blue door of Sacromonte, the walls remembered every sound. You were gone, but in that moment I could feel you turn around. We had danced there one September while the lanterns burned outside. You had laughed and pulled me closer. I had nothing left to hide. I played songs of old Isfahan. You sang verses from Shiraz. Every note crossed through the distance, every rhythm answered yes. But the morning brought a letter and a train you had to take. We said time would bring us closer, knowing promises can break. The record turned, your shadow followed. The years disappeared, but the house stayed hollow. Behind the blue door of Sacromonte, your voice returned across the years. Spanish fire beneath the melody, Persian sorrow in my tears. Behind the blue door of Sacromonte, the walls remembered every sound. You were gone, but in that moment I could feel you turn around. Do you still remember midnight? Do you still remember rain? Do you hear the old guitar strings when someone whispers out my name?
I have crossed 1,000 cities, I have watched the seasons fade, but no road could take me farther from the night we should have stayed.
Maybe love does not disappear, maybe silence keeps it warm. Maybe every closed blue doorway still remembers every storm. Behind the blue door of Sacromonte, your voice returned through a narrow doorway, while the city drowned in rain. Silver watches filled the windows, each one holding someone's name. An old man sat beneath a lantern, with a lens against his eye. He placed a broken clock before me and asked me why I looked surprised. On the back, beneath the scratches, 2 small letters still remained. Yours beside mine nearly vanished, like a promise touched by rain. The hands were frozen at 2:30, the very hour I last saw you. The clock stopped turning in Granada when you stepped into the night. Every second held its silence, every shadow kept your light. The clock stopped turning in Granada, but my heart continued on, crossing years without a compass, still returning where you're gone. We had met beside the river, where the lanterns touched the stream. You were singing under your breath, like a voice inside a dream. I told you stories of Isfahan, blue-tiled gardens, winter skies. You spoke softly of Andalucía, with the sunset in your eyes. Then a carriage crossed the plaza, and the bells began to sound. You said some roads divide forever before your footsteps turned around. I watched you vanish beyond the square. The clock kept ticking, but you weren't there. The clock stopped turning in Granada when you stepped into the night. Every second held its silence, every shadow kept your light. The clock stopped turning in Granada, but my heart continued on, crossing years without a compass, still returning where you're gone. Do not blame the hands of time, they only move where they are led. Some moments live beyond the hour, some words remain though never said.
I repaired 1,000 watches across cities, seas and stone, but no morning brought me closer to the night you left alone.
Maybe time was never broken,
Maybe we were meant to part,
maybe every clock keeps moving,
while one moment holds the heart.
the clock began turning in Granada.
As the rain released the sky,
Every second crossed the silence,
every minute passed us by,
the clock began turning in Granada.
but 1 hour still love became a name.
The old man closed the wooden casing
and returned the clock to me.
Outside, morning filled the alleys,
and the bells rang 3:30.
I walked alone across Granada,
with the watch against my heart.
Time had finally started moving,
but the memory did not.
The courtyard looked the same that evening, faded tiles and jasmine air. A fountain whispered to the shadows, as though it knew you would be there. I saw your face beneath the archway, older now but still the same. You held a red fan in your fingers, I held the memory of your name. Neither of us crossed the distance, neither dared to break the spell, but every stone beneath Granada knew the story we could not tell. When the pomegranates turned red, you came back into my life, with Andalucía in your footsteps, and old Shiraz behind my eyes. When the pomegranates turned red, all the years fell from the sky. Your guitar awakened my silence, my Kamancheh began to cry.
You asked if Tehran still remembered the winter when we said goodbye. I asked if you still watched the swallows cross the amber evening sky.
You said you kept my final letter hidden in a wooden drawer. The ink had faded into shadows, but you still knew each word. We had taken different pathways, we had lived beneath new names, but one familiar chord between us brought us back into the flame. When the pomegranates turned red, you came back into my life, with Andalucía in your footsteps, and old Shiraz behind my eyes. When the pomegranates turned red, all the years fell from the sky. Your guitar awakened my silence, my Kamancheh began to cry.
I waited through 100 seasons, but I never asked you home.
Some doors remain forever open,
Even when we walk alone, I carried your voice through every city,
like a prayer beneath my breath.
I thought the road would make me forget you,
But the road remembered best.
so play the song we left unfinished.
Let the courtyard hear it all. Let the roses lean toward us. Let the evening shadows fall.
Turn red,
You stood close enough to stay,
but the bells above Granada
called the final light away.
when the pomegranates turn red.
We did not promise, we did not lie.
Your guitar returned to silence.
My Kamancheh said goodbye.
The courtyard emptied after midnight. Your red fan rested on the chair.
I left one letter by the fountain and walked into the jasmine air.
Now whenever autumn reaches from Granada to Shiraz,
The pomegranates carry our story in every crimson heart.